These shows and games light up your fantasy. Slav's behind the mic, he's got a vibe so free. From Star Wars superhero worlds, he's spilling all the tea. He'll break down every trailer.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a Slavs Free Talk podcast rescheduled edition. That's right. The other day, I couldn't do my live show due to the internet being out from major storms that hit my area the other day. So I went ahead and decided to do a live show today. So things are a little bit different. So I'm doing a random show in the middle of the day on a Wednesday. Don't worry, guys. I will still do the Watchtower Thursday night. But if you're able to join me here today, awesome. If not, that is okay. I completely understand. But I am going to do a show this afternoon, and it will be up on all the podcast sites as well. Derpy Entertainment is able to show up for a little bit. He says, "My glorious king, I might rewatch half of it today. Probably won't finish it." That is quite all right, Derpy Entertainment. I'm glad that you're able to stop by, even for a moment. That is okay. This is just kind of throwing. I just was like, "Hey, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to get it done." I wanted to talk about this information or this news and stuff that's out there, so I decided to do it. So I'm glad you're here. I even got a new setup, so if the audio doesn't sound great, please let me know. I got some new hardware here I'm testing out today as well. I want to know how things sound, if it sounds good, if it sounds bad. Let me know because I'm tinkering with it. It's new tech for me, trying to figure out how it all works and sounds. So please let me know how it sounds and works. I'm trying to see if it's something I want to continue using. All right. Oh, you're talking about the Snyder Cut. You watched half of it today, and you probably won't finish it. Gotcha. That's what you're talking about. Gotcha. No problem. We will talk about the Snyder Cut a little bit later, for sure. Derpy says, "I'm here for all the show today." Awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. All right. So, all right. So, Jalen says, "Sounds fine to me." Good. Because, damn, this is early. Hey, I wasn't able to do a show on Monday night due to everything going on. I happened to be off from work today. Had to do some things for the family. So I got finished with that, came home, was like, you know what? I got some time. Kids aren't home. Not going to be any background noise with the kids. Figured, what the hey? Let's get this done. So that's why I decided to do it. Trayvon is even here. Wow, man, do you guys work? Do you guys go to school? Like, I don't even know the ages of you guys. So I don't know if you work, if you go to school or what, but the fact that you guys are on here at noon Eastern time, pretty awesome. Not a Watchtower today, Otito. It is a Slavs Free Talk. Watchtower will be tomorrow. Don't worry. Watchtower will be normal time on Thursday. This is just going to be normal Slavs Free Talk stuff. So it's going to be all pop culture stuff, not just the DC stuff. There will be DC talk, but not just DC. All right. So let me jump over to the first story I want to talk about, which is we got a Lilo and Stitch trailer the other day. Last week? I think it was during the Watchtower. It was brought up briefly, but yeah, I mean it's out. It's here, and I loved it. I think the trailer's phenomenal. The little girl who plays Lilo, I think she looks terrific. She has like this little bit of charm in her from every scene that she's in. She looks terrific. And Stitch looks great. The special effects, the CGI, everything looks great about this trailer, and it just excites me. Look, the perfect clip to stop on there. This trailer, I think, is exactly what Disney needs right now. Snow White has come out or is coming out this week. It's expected to do terribly with all of the backlash against Rachel Zegler, and obviously however you stand politically with what's going on in the Middle East right now. There's people that are against Gal Gadot. There's people that are with Gal Gadot. So obviously that's going to play a role against Snow White. Then you have everybody that's against Rachel Zegler. There's a whole bunch of controversy around Snow White right now. Lilo and Stitch, though, there's no controversy around it. This just looks adorable. This looks like loads of fun. It has so much heart to it. Everybody, I don't know really anybody that doesn't like the original animated movie. There we go. The animated movie from the 2000s. I love it. I loved it when I was in high school when it came out, and I adored that movie, and I cannot wait to see it. My daughter, who is 4 years old, my youngest daughter, 4 years old, has probably watched this trailer a dozen times now. And every time we watch it, she wants to watch it again, or she says, I want more. She can't wait to see it. And that's why this movie is going to make all of the money. This movie is going to, I can't see a world where this movie doesn't make $1 billion. This movie is going to outperform Dragon. This movie is going to outperform Snow White. This is Disney's big hit this year. 100%. This is Disney's big hit. And I think as long as it's good, as long as it's exciting and good and it holds up, I think there's no reason that it doesn't hit $1 billion. The only thing that I'm like, this right here, Bubbles, like Bubbles. Nothing against the actor who's playing Bubbles, but you have Ving Rhames right over there. Like, come on. No, nothing against this actor here. But Ving Rhames, I mean, don't get me wrong. If Michael Clark Duncan was still alive, he would have been the man for Bubbles. But you got Ving Rhames standing right over there. He is made for Bubbles since Michael Clark Duncan isn't around. But I think this is absolutely going to be a fantastic film. My whole family's going to see this. Top to bottom. I mean, my household family is a family of 8. When we're all here, that's 8 people going to see it. I know my mother's probably going to go with us. That's 9. Then you have my brother, my extended family. They're probably all going to go see it. This is going to be an event like none other. This is a Marvel Avengers level event movie, and I don't think people understand that yet. I don't think people get it. That's how big this movie is going to be, and it's exciting. I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be great. I'm all in. I want to know what you guys think. Are you all in? Is this a movie that you're going to go see? Is this a movie that you're looking forward to? I know a lot of you in the chat have talked about how excited you are for this, but all of you that are not in the chat, all of you that are maybe listening after the fact or on the podcast side, I want to know what you guys think. Is this a movie that you are excited about? Let me know in the comments. Let's see. We got Derpy says it's solid more than the Snow. It's solid more than the Snow White. Yeah. You're going to see it Friday. You're going to see Snow White on Friday. Huh. God bless you, man. God bless you. I can't do it. I just can't. I'm not going to do it. Like, regardless of the controversies around Rachel Zegler, which there's plenty, the movie looks horrendous. Just looks horrendous. It looks terrible. Derpy Entertainment Slav, I think we should do live together for CinemaCon coverage, live stream. It'd be cool with if you'd be cool with that. Let's work something out. I have no problem doing something for CinemaCon coverage. We can work something out. I just have to see how it fits my schedule with everything. Kids in soccer, kids in dance, kids working, all that kind of stuff. I just got to see how it fits my schedule. So I would be down with doing something. So yeah, message me. We'll work something out. Trayvon, a remake of a movie that came out in my lifetime. I was 10 months and a week old when that OG movie came out in 2002. Says, color me intrigued about this movie. Also very interested to see Ron Carver from Law & Order Criminal Intent play Cobra Bubbles in real life. Look, again, nothing against Ron Carver. When I sit there and see Ving Rhames right over there, I think he would have been better in the role. But nothing against Ron Carver. He's got the voice. Nothing against him. Nothing against him. Hungry Almighty says, I'm kind of tired of Disney after so much BS, but I'll give this movie a chance. But I'm mostly a Marvel guy when it comes to the properties of Disney. I get that, but I think this is This is one of those movies I think everybody's going to give a chance to because of it being Lilo and Stitch. Everybody loved that movie. Everybody did. And I think as long as they can deliver, as long as they can make this an enjoyable film, I think people will be happy. This is almost like Toy Story in a way where everybody will give a Toy Story movie a chance. Even though the fourth one was terrible, everybody gave it a chance. And when Toy Story 5 comes out, everybody's going to give that one a chance. It's that kind of property. Granted, there's only been one good Lilo and Stitch movie. The second one was terrible, and the cartoon, the animated show wasn't good, even though my kids love them. But it has that following that I think people are going to give it a shot. I do. I think that's how it's going to be. All right, moving on. This one, speaking of Disney properties, look, come on, there we go. I grew up in the 90s, kid in the 90s. This movie, a Goofy movie, was one of my favorite movies growing up. The music, just the story, everything about it was just amazing to me. There's still when I get in my car, I still do the whistle that Goofy does when he starts the journey, the adventure with his son Max in the movie. I still get in the car, like if we're just going on like an hour road trip with my family, I still do the whistle from that movie. It's in my brain. This is a movie that I just adore and have always adored, and I love that seeing lately in the past year or two on like TikTok and stuff like that, there's been a resurgence of love for this film, and I love to see it. Yeah, there was a point in time where I didn't think people understood why there was such excitement and joy for this film. I remember working at Hollywood Video for many years, and when I would work there, we would get to put movies on while we were working because we'd have TVs around the store. We were supposed to play a screener that showed what movies were out, but that would get old very fast because it was only like 40 minutes long. And when you would work 8+ hour shifts, it would get old really fast. So we play movies. And this is a movie that was in my rotation. This, Back to the Future, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, things like that. It would be in my rotation of just movies that I would put on all the time. I just can't get enough of this film. But there's a documentary coming. I had no idea that they were doing this. A documentary about a Goofy movie titled Not Just a Goof will release on Disney Plus this April 7th. I am absolutely pumped about this. What kind of information could we learn about this movie that we didn't know? That's what I'm curious about. Like what happened behind the scenes? What came about? There's still some things about other movies that I've learned over the years. Like, for instance, like Emperor's New Groove is a movie that I really like also. And the story, how they went from the concept to execution is wild. But when I look at something like a Goofy movie, like I can't imagine there being a wild ride like that. So I'm really interested to see what this documentary is. It comes out in less than a month. I can't wait. I hope you all check it out. Just let people know how much you like Goofy movie, if you do like a Goofy movie, because maybe, look, the sequel wasn't bad. I didn't hate the sequel. It wasn't as good as the first one. I wouldn't mind if, the excitement's still there. Maybe they do a third one. Maybe. I wouldn't mind it. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And Turpy says, whoops. So hungry, you suffer from Marvel thelioma. Hungry Almighty you're talking to there. Jalen says, I asked this question so many times and got different answers. So I'm asking you, Slav. What the hell is Goofy? And if he's a dog, why is Pluto a normal dog? So why he's more intelligent and can talk? There is actually an explanation for this, and I looked it up one time. I can't remember exactly what it is, and it is just a really stupid explanation from what I remember. Is they basically explain it like this. If a dog walks on all fours, it's a pet. If he walks on 2 feet, he's not a pet. And that was pretty much their explanation. It may go deeper than that. I don't know, but that was pretty much the explanation that I saw. And that was pretty much it. It's dumb. I used to say that all the time as a kid as well. there's some really weird things when it comes to the Disney animation. You can also see that with Looney Tunes, which we're going to get into Looney Tunes in a minute here. But yeah, it's weird. Definitely weird. Derpy says, so Slav, April 1st is Warner Brothers panel at like 7:30. That's a Tuesday. Up to you, man. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what I can figure out, man. Definitely. Derpy also says Goofy movie is goated for sure. The Leaning Tower of Cheese. Jalen says a Goofy movie is so good. Indeed. Jalen Harris, for the first time ever, we're seeing Eye to Eye. I love that song. Indeed. It's on my playlist on my Apple Music. It literally pops up when I'm driving sometimes, and I'll jam out to it. I don't mind. I am not ashamed. Nearly 40 years old, rocking out to Goofy movie music. I don't care. Otito says, I've learned something. Zack Snyder's Justice League is not good. It's good compared to Justice League, which ain't saying much. Richard Lau. I like Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think it was a vast improvement over the theatrical cut, but I cannot watch the film anymore due to the toxicity it spawned to this day. I still prefer watching The Suicide Squad 2021 and Batman 2022. Interesting. We're going to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League, the second half, last quarter of the show, guys, so don't worry. All right. Next up, Daredevil Born Again. I have not watched episode 3 yet. I know it came out yesterday. Was it episode 3? Episode 4? Whatever episode came out yesterday. I don't know. Last night. Whatever episode that is. 3, 4, whatever it is. But this was kind of talked about last week a little bit. And I didn't get a chance to dive into it. But according to Screen Rant, it shows that their numbers for Daredevil, at least the first couple episodes, were not very good. It was actually tracking lower than the Acolyte and Agatha all along. And I'm not going to go through this article, but what I wanted to do here is ask the audience, ask all of you this simple question. And this question is this: is this a sign of people just over Marvel? Or is this a sign of people just not caring about Daredevil as much as they thought people did? That's really the what is it? You know, Daredevil Born Again, watch the first 2 episodes. The first episode was decent. The first half or first 10 minutes of that episode was pretty good. And then it kind of like slowed down and became a slog of just a Law and Order-esque type of show, especially episode 2. I haven't watched the latest episode, but I heard that it isn't great. Like, what is the big deal? What are we at? 4 episodes in now? I can't even remember how many episodes we're into. But that's the thing. It drew 7.5 million views on the first 5 days. Is it just people don't care about Daredevil? Is it people just don't care about Marvel? You would think that people were so excited about this show that the numbers would be higher. But it's just not there. And that, I bring this back around to what I was saying last week about what this could mean overall for the MCU. Because when it comes to the MCU, you have now Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and then you have your Avenger movies coming out. For the grander, the bigger event type of stuff. Sure, we now have Ironheart coming out in June, and then Wonder Man coming out in the fall for TV shows. Ironheart was made under Bob Chapek. That's going to be driven by agenda. Wonder Man, I really don't know how that's going to be. There's really not been much talked about that. Any controversy, nothing's been. So hopefully that does well. Hopefully it's good. But then you have those 3 movies or 2 movies before Avengers Doomsday. Is this enough after the debacle that was Captain America, Brave New World, to build the excitement back up for Avengers to do well, for people to care about Marvel, for Avengers to do well next year? That's a big thing. I got into a bit of an argument the other day on Twitter, on X, with someone who sits there, and he's pushing back on this whole thing about Superman, saying Superman doesn't have a chance of making more than $450 million because it's going to go up against Jurassic World, it's going to go up against Fantastic Four, and people are far more heavily inundated and willing to go see a Marvel movie than Superman. Well, you sit there and you see the data. You take a look and you see, look, Captain America isn't making 400. It's going to barely make $400 million. Nobody's watching Daredevil, which should have been a big win for them. If that carries over into Thunderbolts, then you're looking at another maybe $400 million movie there. What makes you think people are going to go see Fantastic Four? Oh, because Robert Downey Jr. is in it? The promise of him making a cameo, their big star? Like, we've seen how that works before with Henry Cavill and Black Adam. That doesn't carry over when there's a possibility of a cameo of a big star in a movie. That doesn't necessarily drive people who are getting sick of a universe to the film. So there is a real issue with Marvel right now, and I think there is time. It is starting to, the panic should be starting to sink in for Kevin Feige and Marvel. Again, Daredevil should have been a home run for them. I'm not saying what I've watched has been bad. I've enjoyed it to a point. It's not great, but it should have been better. But you still think that more people would have been watching it because it's Daredevil. The best Marvel show that was on Netflix, the best Marvel show to date prior to anything. Like, everybody still holds that up to such a high esteem. And it's not doing very well. It's below Agatha all along, below the worst piece of television on Disney Plus to come out, which is The Acolyte. Look, I can tell you this, Daredevil Born Again is better than The Acolyte. I can tell you that much. And that's a problem. That is a problem for Marvel. So when you sit here and you take a look at things, Marvel is headed in a very, very bad direction. And the panic needs to be seeping in. Something needs to change. It's a very interesting time for Marvel. Interesting indeed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, though. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely interesting. All right. Let's see. Derpy says, I think it's option 2. Hungry Almighty says, it's sad to see what's going on with Daredevil. It's really good, but I think because of how much bad Marvel has been producing, people just don't care anymore. Yeah. Derpy Entertainment says, nobody cares about plus shows. They care about the movies, a.k.a. the casuals. Jalen says, because Agatha, regardless of the opinion, had something people for WandaVision wanted, which was Agatha, a fan favorite. I guess to a point, yes. Now, remember, Agatha struggled in the beginning, and it picked up over week to week. It gained more and more viewers week to week. It still wasn't like a massive hit. It did okay, but yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Derpy says, Thunderbolts is going to fail so hard. Trevon says, I honestly think people are over Marvel outside of a few gasps of relevancy with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine was a success because they brought Hugh Jackman back, and Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have been really pumping that movie up for almost a decade. If you think about it, since the first Deadpool, he's been alluding to a team up between the two of them, and they finally got it. And for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, yeah, I mean, it was a great movie. It was a very fun movie. But you can't take away Doctor Strange was a $900 million movie. Don't take away from Spider-Man, which was technically a Sony movie, but does fall within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So again, there were movies over the last few years that did make money. You can't take that away from them. But then you have Captain America, you have the Marvels, you have Ant-Man, you have those movies that are just bombing. and they got to figure it out. And then you have the TV shows, the She-Hulks, now Daredevil, now what other TV shows? Yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on. Like, what is going on? It's terrible. Hungry Almighty, I genuinely think at this point for Marvel, people are just waiting for Doomsday, Secret Wars, and the X-Men. Anything before that, no one will care except Spider-Man, of course. You might be right. You might be right. Jalen says Daredevil was on break for 7 years, and then it comes back where most fans either moved on or just don't care. I think viewership will grow over time, but way slower for Daredevil Born Again. That's if it's good. If people start saying it's good, but that's the thing. Like, take a look at last night's episode. All I'm hearing is, hey, the parts with, spoiler, Punisher is great, but everything else is lame. You know, I mean, that's not a good sign. Derpy Entertainment says, Be real, the hype around Superman is there more than Jurassic World and Fantastic Four. 100% correct, Derpy. 100% correct. Hungry Almighty, Fantastic Four has had like 3 flops and is not as iconic as Superman. The current state of Fantastic Four for Marvel in the eyes of casuals is the equivalent to Green Lantern for DC in the eyes of casuals. Yes. Trayvon says Fox made better Marvel movies and Marvel themselves. Same for Sony at their A game. I mean, Sony only made good Spider-Man movies. Nothing like Spider-Man-centric movies. When they tried to make anything else, they weren't good. Jalen, bro, no one has talked about Fantastic Four or even Jurassic World. Like, I hear more positive and negative in conversations about Superman for days rather than those 2 movies. Correct. I say that all the time, but people don't understand it. Hungry says, I love Daredevil, but being below Agatha and Acolyte is not a good sign. Not at all. Oh, Tito, are you enjoying it? Glad to see you on a Marvel shill saying it's better than the OG. The original show was fantastic. And honestly, I think the first 2 seasons were better than the third, obviously. The first couple episodes, what is it, 2 or 3 episodes? I can't remember how many. What episode are they on? This is episode 4 this week. So the first 3 episodes were all right. They weren't anything to write home about. And I think the episode 3, which was like the whole courtroom thing, just really felt like the second half of a Law and Order episode, which is okay, but that's not why people watch Daredevil. And I'm not ashamed. Like, people always get mad whenever you sit there and say, when I watch a comic book movie, I want punchy. Like, that's what I want. I don't want just story. Yes, I want story, but I also expect to see some punchy. And we really didn't get any punchy in the latest episode. We haven't got a lot of punchy in Daredevil Born Again yet. I say that about Star Wars too. Like, I'm not ashamed to say when I watch Star Wars, I want to see lightsabers. I like lightsaber fights. I'm not ashamed to say it. That doesn't mean I don't want good story, but I like lightsabers and I want lightsaber fights. People get mad when people say that. Like, people are allowed to like what they like, and it's okay to expect that kind of stuff within that genre. And with Daredevil Born Again, the fact that we've seen him in the suit for 2 minutes in 4 episodes, or at least 3 episodes, I don't know if he's in it in the 4th episode, it's kind of crazy, if you ask me. Hungry Almighty, at this point, I think people are just waiting for Doomsday, Secret Wars, X-Men, anything before that. Yeah, you said that already. Andrew Marfleet, how's it going? Daredevil has just hit for me the way the Netflix version has. The tone just not working for me. That's unfortunate. Derpy says, Be real, I'll eventually see Fantastic Four, but when Superman comes, regardless if it's mid or good, I'm supporting it and seeing it constantly until its run is over. I mean, I'm hoping it's good. If it's mid, I mean, depends on what the definition of mid is. I mean, I'll probably see it a few times myself, but I'm hoping it's good, so when I go and see it, I enjoy it every single time. Andrew again says the CGI bullseye fight was jarring in episode 1. Yeah, it had its moments where it wasn't great. It really did. It wasn't. There were some moments that were a little off for sure. All right, guys, let me know in the big comments, not the live comments, what you think about what's going on with Marvel, and if this is just a sign of worse things to come for the MCU. I'd love to know what you guys think. All right, next up, Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes is missing from Max. That's not good. No, not exactly. But it's getting harder to watch Looney Tunes. Look, Looney Tunes has been a favorite of mine since growing up. I remember waking up Saturday mornings turning on TV, watching Looney Tunes in the morning, watching Coyote versus the Roadrunner, and seeing Foghorn, Longhorn, Foghorn, whatever his name is. Seeing Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd, all of that. It was just a fun time to be a kid on the weekends. But over time, things just kind of fizzled out for the Looney Tunes. I'm not going to lie. Like, kids don't care about the Looney Tunes. It is what it is. I was a big fan of Space Jam. One of my favorite movies when I was younger was Looney Tunes Back in Action with Brendan Fraser, Timothy Dalton, I think it was Tay Leone was in it as well. Bugs Bunny, obviously. The Looney Tunes were in it. I think, was Steve Martin in that as well? I think Steve Martin was in it also. Like, it had an amazing cast in that movie. Fun film, but people just don't care about the Looney Tunes anymore. But Max has decided to remove the kind of the classic Looney Tunes shorts from their library. As of today, which was a few days ago, Looney Tunes classic shorts are no longer available for streaming with Max. There are a few ways to scratch these itches, though. However, such offerings such as Looney Tune cartoons, New Looney Tunes, Baby Looney Tunes, the Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries, Bugs Bunny Builders, and Tiny Toon University still currently available for streaming with this service. Now, George, or at Values over on X, says, "Host something that isn't getting views is not a smart business move. It doesn't justify its cost, especially after so many people whined about wanting to see Acme vs. Coyote and then did not go to see The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, proving Warner Brothers right in pulling it." And he's not wrong. Like I said, people just don't really care about Looney Tunes anymore. And it's a shame. It really is a shame. Now, he's sitting here talking about the whole thing that happened with Acme vs. Coyote, which a couple years ago was supposed to come out, but David Zaslav decided to throw it in the vault and just not release it, cancel it after it was all completely filmed and everything like that. Now, I want to be honest, I actually got a copy of the script. At least I believe it was the script. I read it. It was a rough movie. It didn't read very well. Would it have worked on screen? Possibly. Like, reading a script and then what comes to screen can be different sometimes. Absolutely. I understand that. But it was a rough script. It was a rough script. But I'm a Looney Tunes fan, so I would have watched it. I would have liked to have seen it because I like the Looney Tunes. But here's the thing. Like, it is what it is. Like, even the things that are still available, they don't entice me at all. Like, the new Tiny Toon stuff is crap. I've tried to watch it. It's not good. The old Tiny Toons was amazing. That was great. The original Tiny Toon Adventures, fantastic. But this new stuff just isn't any good. So people that are getting mad, they sit there and they twist this narrative like David Zaslav is terrible. Look at what they're doing over at Warner Brothers. They're getting rid of this kind of stuff. Well, people need to realize that when they put this kind of stuff on Max, it does cost them money. Like, it's not just there for free. Like, it costs them money to have servers to hold all this stuff. The more servers they have, the more money it costs, the more storage they need, all that kind of stuff. So the fact that it's not being watched, that's why they remove it, because then it's less money they have to spend on holding this information and this data there. How much money is it? I don't know. I can't sit there and even begin to theorize on how much it is. I can't imagine it being much, but when you start to, okay, Looney Tunes and this and that, and you start to pull all of it together, everything that they're removing, yeah, I'm sure it builds up and adds up to being quite a bit of money they save. But it's not a terrible move if nobody's watching it. I just wish they would have done the opposite. Keep the old stuff and get rid of the new stuff. That's all. Excuse me. But I don't know. Let me know what you think, though. Do you think this is the right move? Do you think they should have just kept it and ate the cost? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right. I see this here. Thunder Mikey. Hey, Slav, first time catching a live stream. Awesome, Thunder. Thanks for joining. Hopefully you like it and you catch another one sometime. Let's see. Jalen Harris. God, I feel so bad for Looney Tunes. He says, I get that Looney Tunes doesn't connect with the current gen of kids and younger audiences. I hope they can do something that get them to watch, and I don't fully blame Warner Brothers Discovery for this. Trayvon says, let's be honest. Nobody is subscribed to Max for Looney Tunes. Take it from me. I'm there for DC, Austin Powers, The Big Bang Theory, Martin, etc., etc. Big Bang Theory. That's sad. I was kidding. Jalen Harris says, I think Looney Tunes can do something new and more fits the vibes of the current gen. For the younger ones, then they can make a comeback, but I don't see it coming, sadly, which sucks. I agree. Trayvon says, I've watched more documentaries on Max than I have Looney Tunes. I mean, once you hit it being an adult, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather, he watched Looney Tunes all the time. Like, my grandfather was in his 70s watching Looney Tunes. So there's definitely like a difference in generation type of thing here. Because while I loved Looney Tunes when I was a kid, I mean, if my kids were watching cartoons, I'll watch the cartoons with them, but they're not watching Looney Tunes. That's what it is. Jalen says, yes, people will compare Looney Tunes with the Mickey Mouse gang, but there's the difference. Mickey is everywhere in games and movies and is the main mascot of Disney, while Bugs is not, sadly. True. Thunder Mikey says, I heard the new Looney Tunes movie was doing overseas. Maybe the global turnout will yield a small profit, even if it underperformed in the U.S. Doing well overseas. Maybe. It's hard to tell. I mean, even if it does turn a profit, that doesn't mean that they're going to keep pushing Looney Tunes. Excuse me, man. Hold 1 second. I think they just need to really get somebody in there to refocus and retool Looney Tunes, like some people are saying here. Just really retool it a bit and find a way to like approach the current generation of kids. I just don't know how to do it though, because Looney Tunes was such a product of their time. And the way that the comedy was, it was very slapstick comedy. It was very, almost think of like the Three Stooges. It was that type of comedy back in its time when it first came out. And that type of comedy just doesn't resonate nowadays. And Mickey and the Clubhouse Gang and all that stuff is very different type of comedy. That's very childish comedy. It was never like that. And yeah, I mean, it's really, really strange how they could do it. Scooby-Doo, they were able to adjust that to current modern day audience. Can they just do the same for Looney Tunes? It's going to be interesting. It's interesting. But let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments. All right. One more story before we get on to the main topic here. We'll go over pretty quickly. Spider-Man 4, Sadie Sink. Yes, that's right. Sadie Sink is now part of Spider-Man 4. She's from Stranger Things, addresses the Jean Grey casting reports. She says, it's an awesome rumor. I know her. So she has officially joined the cast of Marvel Studios Spider-Man 4, but the Stranger Things star playing Jean Grey, is she playing Jean Grey? The actor has broken her silence on the rumor. She goes, this is news to me. No, I have nothing to say about this. The rumors are really cool, though. It's an awesome rumor. I know the character. It's a great character, so that was cool to read. That's that. There is pretty much nothing else that we know about what she's playing. Everybody suspects because she's a redhead that she's going to have to play a redheaded character in this movie. I don't think that's necessary. Look, they cast Bryce Dallas Howard redhead. She was Gwen Stacy in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. Then you had what's her face in Emma Stone, who played Gwen Stacy. She's a redhead, but was a blonde. So they don't necessarily need to do that. I think a lot of people are thinking she's going to play Gwen Stacy, or she played Black Cat, or she could play anybody. Like, it doesn't. They can dye her hair, or she could play a brand new character, or she can play anybody else. It doesn't matter. She could play Miles Morales, who knows what they're going to do? The fact of the matter is, I think people need to just chill right now. I'm sure it'll come out in due time who she's playing. Could it be Mary Jane? Could they actually bring in the real Mary Jane? The interesting part is, though, isn't Sadie Sink like 22 years old? I think she's like 22. And Tom Holland's like 32. That's kind of weird. That's kind of weird if she ends up playing a love interest for him. So that's a little strange. But regardless, it's something to start talking about and to keep an eye on for sure. For sure. Jalen says, your mic is cutting out a bit, Slav. Yeah, I think my internet was acting up there. I think it was my internet because I saw my picture even go weird. Let me see if I fix that. Try to fix it, at least. Maybe. Thunder Mikey says, Jean Grey would be out of place in a Spider-Man movie. It's more likely she would be Gwen Stacy or Felicia Hardy. She doesn't absolutely have to play a redhead. Exactly. I don't know why people think so. Like they had whatever. Thunder also says Marvel has a habit of taking popular actors and actresses and casting as relatively unknown characters or small roles. True, but this isn't technically Marvel. This is Sony. So there's a little bit of iffiness there. Trayvon says, no way she's younger than me. Well, let's look. I got Google right here. The Google machine. 22 years. She's 22 years old. Yep, we have it. Jalen says, I think she's playing that fire girl from Spider-Man and Friends show. Could be. Who knows? Who knows what she's playing? Who knows? All right. Enough about Spider-Man. Let's move on to Zack Snyder, Snyderverse, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So yesterday was the 4-year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And look, I'm going to be honest. Completely honest with all of you. I fought hard for it. I fought tooth and nail to get that movie to come out. I have the t-shirts. I have one that says an associate producer on the back. I have released the Snyder Cut t-shirts. I have a whole bunch of things. I also helped put on events on social media, on YouTube. I was part of roundtable discussions. I helped raise money for AFSP. I was a part of that fandom. Now, not under Slav's Free Talk. It was under my other podcast, Bridging the Geekdoms. But I did all of that. I worked hard, made it because I wanted to see the true vision. I am a fan of the Snyder Cut version, or Snyder's vision of DC, I should say. So, yeah, 4 years ago, I was up at 2 a.m. watching the 4-hour version of it. Loved it. It was a fantastic film. Loved it. But does that mean that 4 years later, like, that we have to still give in to everything that fandom is crying and whining and demanding? No. So I wrote an article over at slavsfreetalk.com. It's the Snyderverse, a relic of the past, not the future. And it talks about, like, hey, look, it was a victory for artistic integrity, and it was a final note in a divisive era of DC films. Yet a dedicated faction of fans, often referred to as the Snyder Cult, continues to wage an online war against Warner Brothers, demanding the restoration of the Snyderverse at any cost. But as the landscape of DC films evolves, one has to ask, is the Snyderverse still something worth obsessing over? Was it ever? Jalen has to go. See you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. He says, Zach is not coming back. The haters can live with that. So that's the question I want to ask today. look, it's a celebration. It was a celebration yesterday for the victory of getting the Snyder Cut. And as I said, it is a victory. It was a success because while yes, the fans that fought for it did a hell of a job in getting the Snyder Cut recognition. They kept it alive. We'll say that us fans kept it alive. So when AT&T and Warner Brothers was there and they needed something for HBO Max and the pandemic was going on, they came up with an idea. Well, why don't we put the Snyder Cut up? And it was beneficial for them. Had the fans not been pushing for 3-4 years at that point in time, would that have been possible? Probably not. So yes, the fans are partially to blame, not blame, but you have to applaud the fans for it partially, absolutely. But AT&T didn't have to do it. Warner Media did not have to put it out. Not at all. So it was a celebration. Absolutely. But we are now 4 years after the fact. 8 years removed, essentially, from the original cut, Justice League. And people still sit there and act like they can still continue the Snyderverse. There's this obsession. And as I sit here and think about it, like, was this obsession really worth it? Like, when I go and look back, I remember I was part of a podcast network and I had a group of friends who were part of this podcast network, and they were not fans of the Snyderverse. They weren't. And they would get into discussions and arguments with me all the time and say, Robert, why do you want the Snyder Cut so bad? Like, what is it about the Snyder Cut that you want so bad? And I would just say, I want the true vision. I want to see what Zack was trying to say. And they're like, can it really be better than what we got in 2017? I was like, I believe it can be. I believe it would be. And they were like, do you really think it exists? I was like, no, I don't think it exists. I think that Zack needs to finish it. And that's what I would always say. But I had this weird obsession where I was always like, release the Snyder Cut, release it. We want the Snyder Cut. It needs to come out. It needs to come out. There's this obsession for it. And they got to a point where it was like, man, maybe it's just a little too much. Maybe it's a little too much. But when it came to the time when it came out, well, then it was like, well, maybe it was just enough. And I think for everybody, that's what they thought. Like, oh, wow, we pushed hard enough. It wasn't too much. We pushed enough and we got it. So then they were thinking, well, we can get more, right? We can get more. So let's get more. So they kept pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, I've said this in the past, and I'll say it again here. There are 3 things that hurt that fandom. There's 3 things that hurt the fandom that has ruined any chance of them ever getting anything, and that has turned them from being an honorable fandom to becoming one of the worst fandoms in all of fandoms. Number 1 is Ray Fisher. Now, I stand behind Ray Fisher calling out what happened on set under Josh Whedon, Jeff Johns, John Berg, everything that happened on set, how they mistreated him, mistreated Gal Gadot, Ben Affleck, everything. I 100% stand behind him on that. 100%. He should have called them out. Everybody should have stood up and called out the producers and everything that happened there. 100%. What I don't agree with, what I don't stand with him on, is the way that he then treated Walter Hamada and Warner Brothers AT&T. The way that he then utilized the fandom to basically fight his war for him. Because all that did was it made the fans kind of rise up into this toxic, like, I don't know, like the hatred and animosity towards Warner Brothers, AT&T. Like, they just all of a sudden turned on them because of that. And where they went in May of 2020, excited, thankful for getting the Snyder Cut. And then in July of 2020, spiteful and hateful towards AT&T and Warner Brothers, when they had nothing to do with what happened in 2016, 2017, but they became this hateful group of people behind them. The number two thing is the scoopers and grifters online, because they constantly push this narrative that that more was coming, more was coming, more was coming, more was coming, more was coming. The haircut's coming. Ben Affleck's Batman's coming. Deathstroke movie's coming. This is coming. This is coming. This is coming. This is coming. They kept pushing this narrative that all this stuff was coming with no real evidence. Never any evidence. But they found a way to trick people and make people believe, and they were playing on their emotions. And they would not only play on their emotions of saying, hey, you're excited about this is coming. Well, if it doesn't happen, your hatred for this studio head and this executive is the reason why. You need to hate them more and get them kicked out, and then it'll happen. And they played on that type of emotion and built this toxicity within the fandom. And number three is Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder is the third reason why the fandom has become what it's become today, because he allowed his fandom to become what it's become. Look, I'm all for a director, a artist getting a fandom, having a fandom, having a following, and having people love what they make. I'm all for it. But he did it in such a haphazardly way, because at first he was doing things the right way. He was exciting his fans, posting pictures on social media, leading them on like, look, there is a Snyder Cut. There is a different cut of my film. It's out there. It's real. Okay? And that's all fun and good. That's fine and good. But when things started to turn on the studio, when the false lies and belief that there was a possibility for more was coming, Zack, instead of saying full stop, like, guys, no, I was given the chance to finish this movie with no promise of anything else. If anything else is ever to come, I promise you will be the first to know from me. He could have said that. That would have ended a lot of stuff. Would it have put it to bed completely? No. You still would have had people sitting there fighting, restore the Snyderverse, but it would have put to bed a lot of different things. But Snyder sitting there saying, look, the executives did not promise anything else. The executives aren't talking about anything else. This is the only thing that was talked about. This is what we got. But he didn't. He said, well, I never thought that I would have gotten a Snyder Cut, so anything's possible. Oh, anything's possible. Blah, 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 And he led the fandom on. He led them on. He kept leading them on. And that was a problem. So when you add those three things together, it was a recipe for disaster. And the fandom just turned more and more toxic, more and more negative over the 4 years. So when a new company comes in and realizes, look, this DC universe is not succeeding, and they are like, look, we need to just scrap it and start over, this fandom is so toxic, so negative, so mean, so brutal. Instead of accepting it and welcoming this new idea and these new ideas with open arms, they are so pissed off because of Ray Fisher, because of Zack Snyder, because of all the scoopers that lied to them for so many years, so long, that they don't want to hear anything else. So they are going to push away and not want anything else. So that is why there's such a stubborn demand for an unsuccessful vision still. That is why they don't want to see a new era, a new vision. It has become an obsession. And it's kind of ridiculous. Look, I think the movie's good. Is it great? No. I think Man of Steel is better. I think Batman vs. Superman is better. Zack Snyder's Justice League is good. It's too long. There's a lot that could be cut out. There's some things that really didn't need to be in there. Really could have taken out a lot of slow motion. It's a good movie, though. It's better than Justice League, in my opinion. But, like, is there, like, this need for an obsession? No. How many times have I watched it? Maybe 5 times. Maybe completely 3 times. Like, it's 4 hours long, guys. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. But it is what it is. I want to know what you guys think, though. Like, is there this real, like, need for an obsession over the Snyderverse because of Zack Snyder's Justice League? Do you think that, hey, next year, 5-year anniversary, we're going to have this same type of conversation. People are still going to be celebrating it 6 years, 7 years. But the crazy thing is, you see the fans are dwindling. The fans are dwindling. And it's true. Like, where was the trending event yesterday? I haven't seen any numbers because it wasn't worth talking about. There was not, like, remember when it would trend and it would be huge. The trending numbers would be huge in their eyes. So they would be proud and posting it everywhere. There was a trending event yesterday to celebrate this, and nobody's talking about it. I mean, the fandom is falling. It's dropping. It's not to say that you can't celebrate what you got and the victory that there was, but this obsession is kind of absurd. And this desire and need for it to continue is just as absurd. It really is. Like, you can appreciate what you got. Want there to be a continuation? Sure, because I do. I want it to be continued. But I realize how life is. You don't always get what you want. But I'm also excited for what other possibilities there are. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to hear what you have to say. All right. Bunch of stuff here. Where are we at? All right, there we go. Trayvon says, the release of that movie was a double-edged sword. It gave us a superior version of Justice League, but it also gave us a what could have been. Exactly. I mean, what could have been, it's kind of like, oh man, we could have had a really cool epic story. Would have been nice to see. Would have been cool to see, but did we really expect that a new regime was going to transition and shift to that vision? I don't think we should have ever expected that. I don't think we should have. Under AT&T, Walter Hamada was already in the planning stages of doing his own thing, and they came in there like, hey, we're going to release this. And Hamada was already trying to do his own thing. And that's kind of what's going on now, is James Gunn is here doing his own thing. Why do people think that they're just going to waste the resources and money to do this over there? It doesn't make any sense. Universe chronology. Zack Snyder's Justice League is just okay to me. Like, it's certainly better than 2017 film, and it definitely proved successful, but it wasn't good enough for me to want to see more personally. Well, there you have it. Cozy Lion. I wonder if the Snyder cult would have their grandchildren fight for the Snyder cut. Trayvon. Honestly, if there was no pandemic, no Snyder cut. Simple as that. You're right. I wholeheartedly agree. While the fans kept it alive, the awareness alive, if it wasn't for the pandemic, it would not have happened. It wouldn't have. Donovan Martin says, Ray Fisher to me just lied because there has been no evidence presented to this day. I won't say that he lied. I will not say he lied. I mean, take a look at what happened with Josh Whedon. I mean, there's been more and more accusations. There were more and more accusations put out about him about things in the past. So I think what was said about him, 100% true, what happened on the set of Justice League. I believe what happened with Josh Whedon, 100% true. The stuff, the racist remarks made by Jeff Johns that he stated, that was unfounded. But do I think that they could have been true? Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was true or not. But I do believe what happened with Josh Whedon is 100% true, just because of where's he been? Like, the stuff that came out from Ray Fisher, then you had the stuff with Charisma Carpenter, the stuff that happened on Buffy, stuff that even on Angel, like all that stuff started coming out. It was kind of like, and then I think what was it? The stuff happened where he was like cheating on his wife, like all this stuff started coming out about him, and he's gone. So I think that's true. Allegedly, his wife thing. I think that's true. Allegedly. I just want to say that because I think it's true. I might be wrong on that. Trayvon says AT&T Warner Media tried to rectify the mistakes of the Time Warner regime, unknowingly opening Pandora's box in the process. Correct. I mean, they rectified a mistake that they didn't even have to rectify. It wasn't their job to rectify it. They tried to do something nice. And here's the kicker. The fans never said thank you. Not once did they ever say thank you. That's the craziest thing to me. They went from May 2020. It was, we're getting the Snyder Cut. Everybody's joyous, happy. Yes, we're getting the Snyder Cut. July 2020. F you Warner Media. F you AT&T. Like that's how fast it changed. It was crazy. Donovan Martin, it really feels like nowadays Zack Snyder just fans the flames of the worst people imaginable, and that really is an indictment of his character. Yes. Cozy line, I imagine the DC Snyderverse concluding in animation form. That's what I think. I think that's the best way to do it. I hope it happens, but who knows at this point. Donovan Martin, Zack Snyder could have said something to draw a line with their fans, but he never did that. I say that all the time. Trayvon says Dwayne Johnson was playing on their emotions as well. Minor loving Henry Cavill was his Pinocchio. Yeah, I mean, I talk about that quite often too, how if it wasn't for what Dwayne Johnson and his team did to Henry Cavill when it came to Black Adam and that whole time era of Warner Brothers Discovery and DC Films, there wouldn't have been any issues, with Henry Cavill. Like, he was out. He was done with DC. Like, he was done. DC, Warner Brothers, AT&T kicked out Henry Cavill years ago, essentially. They were pretty much done with him. They were working on a way to try and bring him back later on, possibly, but there was still no guarantee that they would. Dwayne Johnson brought him in and then promised him that, oh, you're going to be the man, you're going to be the Superman, you're going to be we're going to come up with different stories. Henry Cavill had his ideas of making a more bright, hopeful Superman in the DC film universe. Dwayne Johnson and $7 Productions, they thought that they were going to take over running the DC universe, essentially. Black Adam failed. They made all these promises to Henry Cavill. He thought he was back. He announced that he was back with no contract. There was no contract. He had no contract signed. His manager, Danny Garcia, which is The Rock's ex-wife, who is part of his $7 Productions company, I believe, or helped start that. She's the one that encouraged Henry Cavill to announce him being back. So he announces that he's back. Then he gets, let go, essentially. I'm not going to say fired because he had no contract. He wasn't even let go. But James Gunn gets hired and he's like, we're going in a different direction. Excuse me. Henry Cavill then fires his whole management team because of what happened. It was his management team's fault. By firing his management team, it shows you it was his team's fault and what happened with Dwayne Johnson. It's just crazy. People refuse to acknowledge that, though. Hungry Almighty says, Ray Fisher and Our Movie News are the two worst. I don't know what Our Movie News has to do with it, but okay. Nico says Snyderverse already concluded, done, finished with Zack Snyder's Justice League. Donovan Martin, even with Godzilla and Kong was coming to Max, that movie was being review bombed to the point that Adam Wingard was being affected and went to Zack and asked him to quell his fans, and he said no. You're right. Don't forget that. People were review bombing Godzilla and Kong because it was a Warner movie. Well, kind of Warner. It was more Legendary, but still, Warner was distributing it. Yeah, you're not wrong. Heaven 7 says Diaper Man is going to flop. I mean, whatever, man. Trayvon says Snyderverse officially died at the hands of the Batman's success and Black Adam's failure. Not wrong again. Critic Chris, haters just want the Snyder cut. They got it, but they feel entitled to get whatever they demand. Hungry Almighty, most Snyder fans on the internet, I'm practically convinced that they never watch anything DC outside of Snyder DC. It's true. Also says that Snyder fans are definitely going to have a heart attack if they see Superman save a kitten from a tree in the new movie. Sam Dan reviews. Slav, Warner Brothers are selling Coyote vs. Acme to catch up entertainment. They just put the day the Earth blew up. They just put the... are they going to sell it? I don't know if they are. I don't think they can. Can they still sell it? Because they signed... That was supposed to come out last year, so they wrote it off last year. So I don't know if they can now. Cozy Lion, all I hear is wallets closed from the Snyder cult. Their wallets aren't going to be... They're going to go hate watch that movie. Hate watch. Critic Chris, OMG, Superman 2025 has humor. People forget Reeves' Superman movie had humor TV shows, but yeah. We'll talk all about that at the Watchtower tomorrow, don't worry. Critic Chris, every DC character needs to be a carbon copy of Batman to be successful. Dark, grounded, etc. Exactly. All right, guys. This was fun. This was a fun little episode for sure. Definitely was a fun little episode in the middle of the day. Can you hear it? There we go. I don't know if you guys can hear the music. I don't know if you can hear me. Hopefully you can. Like I said, new equipment here, trying out. Trayvon said, I saw it. They did. Did they? Let's see. Acme vs. Coyote sold? Breaking. Here we go. Oh, it's from the end Snyder. Nah, it's from Snyder, though. I don't buy it completely. WB talks to sell Coyote vs. Acme to Ketchup Entertainment. No deal yet, but if it closes, the movie could hit theaters next year. Not sure why Ketchup would do this on the heels of its other Looney Tunes movie. Underperforming, but maybe I'm not seeing something. Maybe. I mean, if that's true, but this is coming from Jeff Snyder. I don't really take what he says very, wait. Oh, no, it's coming from Deadline. Okay, there we go. Seeing it from Deadline. Okay. Now I buy it. Now I buy what they're saying. Okay, this is exclusive from Deadline. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Oh. Where's my face going? There. Interesting. That'd be interesting. Thank you for the Sam Dan. Thank you for the breaking news on this show. I love it. Thank you. Chris, it amazes me how the Snyder Cult praised bad movies. Aaron praised Indy 5 Dial of Destiny. Tybone enjoyed Helen Slater's Supergirl. Yeah, I mean, Thunder Mikey, I don't understand the pessimistic attitudes. I was a fan of some DCU movies like the Snyder Cut, Shazam 1, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and the Suicide Squad. However, I'm very excited for the new DCU. So that's the thing. Some people just want to hate. Like, personally, I'm in the same boat as you, Thunder. I enjoyed a handful of the DCEU films, maybe even more than what you like. But I enjoyed a handful of the DCEU films, and I personally think that the new DCU is going to be a lot of fun. I do. I'm a DC fan. I don't care who's running it. I don't care who's writing it. I don't care what the outlook necessarily is, like what not their outlook, but what the plan is. I just want good movies and exciting storytelling. That's what I'm looking for. I know James Gunn is a good storyteller. I've watched enough of his movies to know that he is a good writer. Are all of his movies great? No, I'm not a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but I like the other two. I liked The Suicide Squad. I like his other things that he's done. But I sit there and I realize, hey, this has the potential to be a really good Superman movie. Anna Aguirre writing Supergirl, Gillespie directing it. I think it could be good. I think it'd be a lot of fun. So when I sit there and think about it, like, okay, this could be a lot of fun for DC. Peacemaker was fun, was good. This next season could be fun. Again, you take a look at stuff. Things can be a lot of fun and good, but people don't look at it that way. And it's really, really bizarre. It really is. Critic Chris says, I enjoyed Man of Steel, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Shazam, probably the best. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Thank you all for joining in. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit subscribe. If you're not, I am so close to 2,000 subscribers. So close. I want to hit that mark. I'd love to hit that mark before the end of March. So please hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed on YouTube, I'd love to hit that before the end of March. And share this around, all that stuff. I'd love to get more people watching. Next show will be tomorrow night, Thursday night. Thursday is the Watchtower, as always, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All DC talk. All DC talk. So don't miss that. And it's going to be a good time, guys. It will be a good time. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all later.
He's got opinions, he's got facts, and always room for more. Video games to binge on spin-offs we should see. He'll rank his top contenders with a chuckle and a plea. Just press play on that podcast. Let your fandom roam free. Slab's our pop culture guru, no